in the NBA, Mike Conley replaces Devin Booker in the All-Star game. Before this, Mike Conley was regarded by many as the best player to never make an All-Star game, along with Richard Jefferson and Lamar Odom. I think Mike Conley has been a consistent, great player. He didn't get a lot of shine with the Grizzlies because of the market, because of the team he was in. They were known as defensive team, a grinded out team. He moved on to the Jazz, and his first season, he struggled last year. He struggled with them. In the bubble, he played a little better. And then now this year, he's really made strides. He looks like the old Mike Conley. He looks like a point guard that could really dictate pace, be a good defender, be a great, solid player on both ends of the court. He always reminded me of like a poor man version of Chris Paul. Not to disrespect Mike Conley by calling him the poor man version of Chris Paul, but Chris Paul is one of the most well-rounded point guards in the NBA that we've ever seen. He knows how to control pace. He always looks calm. He's a great defender, even with the not being so tall. I believe they're both around 6 feet. Smaller frames, still great defenders, leaders of their teams. Just any team would be happy to have either of those players in their teams. Obviously, Chris Paul is better. He's a Hall of Famer. He's made countless All-Stars. We all know who Chris Paul is. He's in all these All-State commercials. I always thought of Mike Conley of just a slightly not as good player as Chris Paul. But Mike Conley, throughout his career, he's been a great player. He did sign the biggest contract ever in NBA history. He was the highest paid player. He was the player with the biggest contract in the NBA for a little bit. And the one series that I really highlighted to me how great he was the first round versus the Spurs in 2017. He had himself a series, especially in Game 4, where he carried him and Gasol really carried the Grizzlies and made clutch bucket after clutch bucket. I remember Kawhi was doing the same for the Spurs. They went to overtime, and in the end, Gasol and Conley were able to get the victory for the Grizzlies to tie the series at 2-2. They would go on to lose 4-2 to the Spurs, but the Spurs were a juggernaut at that time. They were still one of the best teams in the NBA. They still had Kawhi. But that game with Mike Conley, he put up, I believe, like 35 points. He looked dangerous. He just had a great game. That really highlighted to me, like, wow, like Mike Conley is a baller. And it made me a little sad just to know that Mike Conley had never made an All-Star. And just looking at the list of point guards in the West, it just seems so hard for him to ever make one. Just with Curry, Westbrook, Chris Paul, just so many great point guards and up-and-coming guards that were coming up at the time. I was sad for Mike Conley to never be in the All-Star game, but now he replaces Devin Booker. He's the third Jazz player to make the All-Star game this year, and I'm just very, very happy for Mike Conley. He's a great guy. I see him helping out the community. He's one of those players that just represent the NBA really well, and I'm very happy that he made the All-Star. I saw his teammates on Twitter congratulating him. I saw other NBA players congratulating him. I think Mike Conley is a deserving All-Star game player, and I'm happy that Adam Silver chose him to replace Devin Booker. And my condolences to the Spurs player, what's his name? DeRozan. My apologies to DeRozan. He deserved to be in the All-Star game too, to replace Devin Booker. But Adam Silver has the say when players get booted of the All-Star game, and he chose Mike Conley to replace Devin Booker in his injury. So I'm not mad with it. I'm happy for Mike Conley. He's more than deserving of this All-Star nod, and I'm excited to see him play. I think he's going to show out. He might not ever make another one just because it's really tough to make the All-Star game as a guard in the NBA. We're probably in the best era of point guards, of guards in the NBA, so I think he's going to enjoy it. I wish him the best. I'm excited to see him